Imagine this. She walks through the door. Something feels off. You can't explain it. Nothing she's said, nothing she's done, just a feeling, that quiet, gut-twisting sense that something has shifted between you two. What if your instincts are picking up on signals your conscious mind hasn't processed yet? Today, we're breaking down 8 behavioral and psychological signs that something may have changed, and why your brain notices them before you do. Human behavior is fascinating. We think we're hiding things. We think we're in control of what we show the world, but psychology tells us something very different. The body leaks the truth. Micro-expressions, behavioral shifts, subtle changes in routine, these are the things we unconsciously broadcast when something significant has happened to us emotionally or physically. This video isn't about accusations. It's about understanding human psychology at a deeper level. Whether you're questioning a relationship, studying behavior, or just genuinely curious about the science of deception and emotional change, this one's for you. Let's get into it. Sign 1. She's unusually distant but trying to hide it. You're sitting together, same couch, same room, but she feels like she's somewhere else entirely. And here's what's strange. She seems almost too normal, like she's performing normalcy rather than living it. Psychologists call this emotional compartmentalization. When someone has done something that conflicts with their values or their relationship, the brain attempts to separate that experience from the present moment. The result? A kind of emotional flatness, present in body, absent in spirit. You might ask her how her day was and get a perfectly fine answer, but something in the delivery feels rehearsed. That gap between words and energy, that's worth paying attention to. Sign 2. She's suddenly more affectionate than usual. Here's where it gets interesting and counterintuitive. You might expect someone who's been unfaithful to pull away, but often the opposite happens. She becomes warmer, more affectionate. She brings you coffee without you asking. She initiates a hug out of nowhere. This is called guilt compensation behavior, and it's one of the most well-documented patterns in relationship psychology. The brain, when experiencing guilt, unconsciously tries to balance the emotional ledger. By showing extra kindness, it attempts to restore internal harmony. So if there's a sudden, unexplained surge in affection, with no anniversary, no argument resolution, no obvious reason, your instincts may be telling you something your logic isn't ready to accept yet. Sign 4. Her phone behavior has changed. She used to leave her phone on the counter without thinking twice. Now it goes everywhere with her, screen down on the table, taken to the bathroom, tilted slightly away when she's texting. This behavioral shift is significant. Psychologists who study deception note that increased phone secrecy is one of the earliest and most consistent behavioral signals of concealment. It's not always about what's on the phone. It's the anxiety around the possibility of exposure that drives the behavior. Watch for this. It's not one moment of privacy. It's a pattern of protection that wasn't there before. Sign 5. Her story doesn't quite add up. She said she was at her friend's place, but the timing is off. She mentioned traffic on a route that doesn't make sense. Small inconsistencies that individually mean nothing, but together they form a pattern. This is where it gets really fascinating from a psychological standpoint. Researchers at the University of Michigan found that deceptive accounts tend to lack sensory detail. Truthful stories are usually rich with specifics, smells, sounds, small observations. Fabricated stories tend to be logistically accurate, but emotionally hollow. So it's not about catching a lie, it's about noticing the texture of a story. Does it feel lived in or constructed? Sign 6. She seems freshly groomed at an unexpected time. This one is subtle, and this next sign is something most people completely miss. She comes home and she smells like she just showered. Her makeup is touched up. Her hair is slightly different from how she left, and she doesn't offer an explanation. Psychologists and behavioral analysts note that hygiene behavior post-encounter is one of the more instinctive responses to infidelity. It's almost primal, a form of evidence erasure that happens without much conscious thought. On its own, this means nothing. In combination with other signs on this list, it's a data point worth noting. Sign 7. Intimacy feels different. When you're together physically, something is shifted. Maybe she's less present. Maybe she's more eager, in a way that feels disconnected from you specifically. Or maybe she finds reasons to avoid it entirely. Sexual behavior is deeply tied to emotional state. Psychologists who study relationship intimacy note that guilt, comparison, and emotional conflict all manifest in how a person engages physically with their partner. The change isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just a feeling, like you're not fully with each other even when you are. That intuition is your nervous system detecting what your mind hasn't articulated yet. And finally, the sign that predates all others. You feel it before you can name it, before you've noticed a single behavior, before there's any evidence at all. That feeling, science takes it seriously. Research into intuitive processing shows that the human brain unconsciously processes thousands of microsignals: tone, timing, body language, scent, eye contact, long before the conscious mind catches up. What we call a gut feeling is often a result of sophisticated pattern recognition happening below the level of awareness. If something feels wrong, that feeling deserves respect, not as a verdict, but as information. Conclusion: human behavior is never one thing. Every sign on this list has an innocent explanation: stress at work, a bad week, a personal struggle they haven't shared yet. But the real takeaway here isn't suspicion, it's awareness. Understanding the psychology behind behavioral change gives you something more valuable than confirmation of any single theory. It gives you the ability to pay attention, to notice, to have honest conversations rather than silent assumptions. Relationships are built on perception and communication, and the healthiest thing you can do with any of these signs isn't to build a case, it's to open a conversation. Because often, the distance you're sensing isn't about someone else, it's about something unspoken between the two of you. Call to action. If this video made you think about behavior, psychology, and the quiet signals we all send without realizing it, you'll want to stick around on this channel. We break down human psychology in ways that are honest, grounded in research, and genuinely useful for your life. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if this resonated with you, drop a comment below. I read every single one. See you in the next one.